Great. So again, my name is Miss Dubik. I work for Young Engineers of Today. I've worked with them for a while. I taught computer science and engineering, and I'm at Wake Forest University right now. I'm excited to be working with you guys this semester. We have some new students that are just joining us this term, and then we have some students that are continuing on from the fall. I just want to go ahead and ensure or reassure the new students that we are going to kind of start from the base, so everyone will be on the same page, and also assure our fall students that while we have a little bit of what will be review for you all today, and we had a little bit of review last week, this is going to be new material. It's exciting new material. Let me get to that real fast. Too far. Medieval siege engines, milling with the other mill, shopbot, networking, cybersecurity, and model rockets are some of the exciting new things we will be learning about. So yes, there'll be a little bit of review today, but most of it, most of the semester will be new material. All right. So I know not everybody was here last week, so let's go through and make sure that we are all signed up for Edmodo. So our code for Edmodo is posted here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat as well. Edmodo, if you've never used that before, I'll go ahead and show you how to set up an Edmodo account real fast. And then additionally, I will show you how to add a new classroom if you've never added a classroom before. All right. So let me go ahead and in chat put the link for Edmodo as well. All right, so if you go to edmodo.com and you already have an Edmodo account, then this should be kind of the home page, and you just scroll down and you hit create a group. I'm sorry, that's not right. You hit join a group, and then you can enter that group code that I just put into chat, and that group code is I94 BBA. Caveman, I see you did join our group. And the Edmodo space is a space for you guys to talk to each other and to post any developments that you have made or anything that you've kind of worked on in class and you want to show your classmates outside of class or after class, or to communicate with me. So definitely it's your space. Hi, Gabe. Already liked. One thing let me go ahead and show, if you've never done Edmodo before, when you go to sign in or to create an account, you're going to want to click on this I am a student and create a new account, and then it will prompt you to put the group code. That's where you'd put that I94VBA that I put in chat. That would go there. And any parents that are watching, if you would like to create an account as well, I encourage you to go ahead and make that student account first, and then it is easy after you've made the student account, then you can add a parent to the student account. But through the parent, it's going to ask you, oh goodness, and it looks like they may have even changed that, add a student using a parent code. Okay, yes, this parent code is, I think I'll even have, you go to the student Edmodo account and that parent code will be there. So you make the student account first, you find that parent code, and then you can connect that way. All right, so in Edmodo, in our groups page, the Charlotte Lower School Spring 2017, you'll see a link to our playlist. You can see this is from last week's webinar, and every webinar that we do will be recorded and posted here. So if you end up having to miss for some reason, you know that you'll be able to find it posted here. Okay, so definitely bookmark this page, and you can always go back to Edmodo to find it, but this should be a helpful page for you all. All right, raise your hand if you have any questions in terms of YouTube or in terms of YouTube or Edmodo, any kind of nuts and bolts questions. No? All right, then, oh, well, maybe we do. Okay. Let's see, oops. All right, Gmail account. Now, this is for the Google websites that we'll be making to document this class. Now, if you were with us in the fall or have been with us in the past, we did make Google accounts for the fall class. And we will be making those today as well. So if you've already made those with us in the fall, then I encourage you to do one of two things, and I'll remind you of this once we get to this part of the class. You can either, one, make a new account, a new website, a new Google site, using that same Google account. Or two, you can work on your Google site from the fall and continue to add to it, maybe even add a post about this upcoming semester, or customize it more. And I think that it is a very good review of some of the Google site features to go through and hear them again, because there's a lot there. There's a lot that you can customize and do with Google sites. All right. So before we get to the Google sites, we are going to go through a general overview of engineering, which we did, which we started last week. If you were not with us last Wednesday, then please definitely check out this recording of the webinar, and that will kind of take you through a much more thorough overview of what we covered. But we talked about what an engineer was, and essentially engineering uses it applies math and science in order to improve the world. And then we learned about kind of these three different areas in which, if you're interested in engineering, these are things that you should maybe focus on, as these are things that make good engineers. So they need to be strong in math and science, and that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be a genius off the bat in math and science, but having a curiosity about those subjects and working hard in those subjects in school will really, really benefit you. You need to be able to solve problems, solve complex problems, and be able to work through that, so show perseverance in that. And you need to be able to work as part of a team, and we talked about that. If you're an expert in a very specific field, a very narrow field, in order to solve a problem, let's think about building a robot. If you're building a robot to help save people from burning buildings, and you're really, really good with kind of the gears aspect of the robot, building that body of the robot, you're going to need to talk to people who are experts in terms of electrical engineering and how to power that robot. You're going to need to talk to people who are firefighters in order to learn about some of the challenges that firefighters face, or some of the things that, because you're not an expert in that area, right? And you need to be able to communicate your expert in terms of the hardware for that robot to those people as well. All right, and just a little bit more detail in here. Because engineering is the application of math and science, it's such that engineers have a strong foundation in these subjects. And that's all engineers. We talked a little bit last week about how there's this really big spectrum in engineering in terms of what engineers do, whether they're working in chemical engineering or in civil engineering. But all of them are going to need to have that background. And different positions require different levels of expertise. Some engineers are going to be, using differential equations and calculus, kind of these really high-level math classes on a daily basis, while others aren't really going to be using math in that way necessarily, but they definitely need to have that background, especially during things like the project planning, etc. All right. Engineers need to be able to work as a team and communicate effectively. I like this Dwight Schrute quote, "Love is in the air," false. Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide in the air. So this is kind of a funny meme here, because engineers are often maybe made fun of a little bit for being very analytical people that are going to take things very literally, right? And you need to be able to communicate to the wider world, into a world where people would understand this quote, "Love is in the air." To solve great problems, different engineers of different background need to be able to come together and combine their expertise. And you need to be able to not just understand what other people are saying and get information from them, you need to be able to share your information as well. What we were talking about before with the robot and fire. All right. You need to be able to show perseverance in solving problems. I like this meme here. So half credit, if you built a bridge and it collapsed and killed everyone, do you get half credit? So this kind of gets at the idea that when you're working through a project for engineering, it is absolutely okay to not get it right the first time. And you probably aren't going to get it right the first time, or the first 8 times, maybe not even the first 18 times. But you've got to keep going until you get it right, because these are applications, these are projects and solutions that people are going to actually use. So you need them to be reliable and dependable and accurate. So engineers are presented with these huge problems, right? These really challenging problems. If all you were doing was solving very simple, easy problems, then you might get the answer correct every time you tried on the first try. Engineers don't just solve easy problems. They rarely solve easy problems. They solve really hard problems, and that means they're probably not going to get it right every time. But that's okay. That's part of the excitement, right? And so the problem might seem impossible when you start. You just got to break it down into more manageable pieces and keep trying, even if you mess up the first time. All right, so kind of an overview of those 3 skills. Let me go ahead and check if there are any questions. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, these are funny, Kaden. So, and I would like to also just preface or explain that if you weren't with us on Wednesday, I talked about this a little bit on Wednesday. most of the webinars for this semester won't be this lecture-based, meaning most of the time you won't just be listening to me talk and looking at my screen. You'll be able to be doing things on your computer screen as well. And if we get through this section, this introduction into engineering, in the next little bit here, we'll be able to start our Google Sites, and that'll be definitely more hands-on. So don't fret, don't think this is going to be the whole term, it's just listening to me speak. We definitely want you guys doing some hands-on work as well. But this is just a good introduction, make sure everybody starts on the same page. So we've talked about how there are lots of different fields of engineering. What kind of jobs are out there? And we saw this slide before, right? There are lots of different fields of engineering. If you were with us on Wednesday, you took a quiz that pointed you through a field of engineering you may not have thought of before, based on kind of what your interests are and what you think your current skills are. Don't just think of engineering as a guy in a hard hat. Many engineers wear a hard hat to work every day, and that might be something that you really want to do or that you end up doing. But there are lots of different kinds of jobs. Research to team leading. Again, you could be wearing a lab coat every day. You could be wearing a hard hat. You could be wearing a suit. We need engineers everywhere. There are definitely some perks to the job in engineering. And we start, of course, let's see, we have a question. Hold on. Yeah, if you raise your hand, let's see. If you raise your hand, then I'll get a little flag. So that's a good way. If you have a question or a comment, you can raise your hand and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. Hey, Cademan.
That meme, it's funny, but it does actually make sense. Megahertz is a radio spectrum, so it'd be more of a communications engineer. Megavolts is electrical.
Gotcha. That's a very good explanation on what should have been a very nerdy meme. Maybe the meme was not quite as nerdy as it should have been. Thank you, Cademan. If for those of you who don't know what Cademan was referring to, here's this one here. Don't mess with an electrical engineer at megahertz. And he very quickly points out that maybe it means that it should say maybe a communications engineer because of the unit of measure there, right? Megahertz, it's a play on words with a unit of measure. I'm going to go ahead and put everybody's hands down. Thank you, Cademan. All right, so one of the number one things kind of people point out when they think of engineering right off the bat is that engineers tend to make a lot of money, especially in comparison to other people who are studying other majors in college. And we can see that here. The orange is what people make right off the bat after graduating college, and the blue is what people tend to make on average longer term. You can see engineering kind of tops the list there. This is again shown here. Petroleum engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, right? All of these, this is just the top college majors in general. You can see these are not just limited to STEM careers or anything like that, STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But you can see engineering is throughout this whole list, right? Nuclear engineering. Computer engineering. So absolutely, this is if you find that you really enjoy this, this is an area where you can end up with a job that is very satisfying in terms of income. However, what I really like is this list here, and this graph shows the top majors in terms of how satisfied people are with what they do. How happy do they find their job makes them, or how satisfied are they in their job? Are they doing things that make a difference? And engineering also tops off some of engineering graduates are also at the top of this list. So this list is much, much longer. These are just the top responses but civil engineering, engineering, chemical engineering, environmental engineering. So, you know, money definitely doesn't hurt, but you should find something that you love doing or that you like doing a lot, and that's going to make going to work every day a lot more enjoyable. And so engineering could be both of those things. Not only are you compensated well, right, you actually love what you do because you're making a difference. A lot of jobs today are made by technology, right? There was not a social media manager for a company 10, 15 years ago. There is now a whole industry of people that fix the cracks in iPhones and smartphones in general and tablets. Those jobs did not exist before tablets existed, right? So half of the jobs that are created today are the result of technology. But there's a flip side to that. Many jobs are being lost to technology. So this is a robotic arm. And in manufacturing, where you might have seen a lot of people doing a lot of these jobs, now you see a lot of robotic arms and just one person making sure everything is going smoothly. So back to this statement, half of the jobs today are the result of technology. A lot of good jobs are actually disappearing because of technology. However, we still need people to make those robotic arms, to design those robotic arms, to repair them, etc. And while a lot of people are losing their jobs, hopefully we're going to see this shift towards more people being technology creators, right? Being able to help create and maintain this technology. And you're going to be able to see things like overall manufacturing costs going down. So hopefully everybody's access to the things being manufactured is going to increase, and maybe overall living standards improving. So that's what we're hoping to see with technology. And so going into engineering is definitely job security. If you can work with the robotic arms, you're just going to see the increase in use of robotic arms, which are these big machines that can be programmed and to do all sorts of different tasks and skills. Hopefully we'll talk a little bit about robotics at some point. But if this is something that's interesting to you, there's definitely plenty of jobs out there that would call for that kind of expertise. So that whole section, hold on. Was kind of just a pep talk to talk about why engineering is a field that you should consider when you're thinking about maybe what you want to do with your life or what you want to study. And now we're just going to finish kind of this introduction to engineering by talking a little bit about the difference between engineering and science. And we're going to do that by comparing the engineering method with the scientific method. So if you could raise your hand if you've ever studied the scientific method in school. Caveman, I'm going to put your hand down for right now. But you can go ahead and raise it again. Oh, sorry, Benjamin. You can put your hand up. Raise your hand if you studied the scientific method in school before. Great. Cool. Very cool. Let's see. We have a question here. That'll take over in 10 years. Robotic arms? Those are already super popular, I think. All right. No, they are. They are, buddy. I think they may become more popular. Sorry, Caveman was talking about robotic arms there. All right, engineering versus scientific method. Back on track here. If you're wondering, what in the world is Ms. Dubik talking about? Is she talking to herself? No, you can type questions to me, and they'll pop up on the side of my screen. And sometimes I'll read them out to the whole class. If you don't want me to read it out to the whole class, definitely let me know in that message. But sometimes I might just answer kind of directly to you. So hopefully I'll read the question and you'll be able to follow me a little bit better. But sometimes if you think I might be talking to myself there, that's what's going on. So, all right, back on track. It was a little bit of a sidetracked question. So scientific method. The idea here is that you're observing the world and you make this hypothesis or this educated guess based on something that you see. And then you design an experiment that tests to see if that guess is right or wrong. And then you analyze the data that you collected during that experiment. You come up with the conclusion, whether your guess was right or wrong, and then you publish the results so that other people can take a look at what you did and either agree with you or disagree with you. Peer review is super important for the scientific method. So here's an example. You're walking around in nature and you see a line of ants kind of all moving, this giant line of ants, and then you kind of see one ant over to the side walking by itself. And you make a hypothesis, maybe you've studied ants for a long time, and you make a hypothesis that there are some ants that function differently than other ants, and that their job is kind of like a scout. So you design an experiment to see if that's true. Maybe you set up some fake anthills in your laboratory and you study the ants' behavior, and you analyze the results of that experiment, and you either come to the conclusion that yes, some ants are scout ants, or no, some ants are not. And then you're going to publish that review. The difference with that scientific method and the engineering method is that in the engineering method, you're trying to create something. The goal of the scientific method is to prove whether or not your hypothesis, that educated guess that you made based on your observation of the world, your goal with the scientific method is to prove whether or not that hypothesis is true or false. With the engineering method, your result, what you're going for, is to create something. Now that does not need to be a physical thing. You're not necessarily creating a product, but you are trying to create, maybe design a solution. It could be a process, there are all sorts of different things. A lot of times with engineering, it will be something like a bridge or a car or an engine. And you're applying math or science as you prototype your way to getting that result. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail here. Oh, no, we are not. I think we end up talking a little bit more about the engineering method in our next slideshow after we talk about Google Sites. But essentially, the first thing you do, let's say you, I wonder if I can come up with a engineering about ants. I don't know. Let's talk back about that robot that's going to help during fires, right? You have been tasked, you're part of a team that is designing a robot that can help firefighters get people out of buildings safely. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to research a lot. You are going to find out all you can about firefighting, about fires, about different kind of materials and how they react in fires. You're going to talk to materials engineers to figure out about that. You're going to talk to other engineers that have done a lot of work with robotics in terms of motors and materials and electrical equipment. And you're going to talk to software engineers to figure out, well, are people going to have to control our robot? Is the robot going to use artificial intelligence to get around? So there's a lot of time that goes into that research phase. And then you're going to make a plan. You're going to, once you have the parameters for what you want your robot to do, you're going to make a plan on how you're going to build it. And then you build a robot. But you're not done after you've built that robot. What you actually build is a prototype of a robot. And a lot of times now, actually, in this, the first robots that you'll build will be on the computer, will be digital. Will not actually be a physical prototype, but a digital prototype that you can do some sort of testing on, because it's cheaper and faster to build it on the computer and model it on the computer. But you're going to go through many, many, many prototypes. You're going to build a robot, you're going to see how it works in a burning building, and then based on how that went, you're going to improve that robot. And that's a really important aspect of the engineering method. I know sometimes when I am working on something that I've worked on for a really long time and I finish it and I'm really proud of it, it can be hard to give that project a critical eye and think, you know, I'm really proud of this, but what could I do to improve it? That can be really challenging, but that's a big part about being an engineer. Now, with something like a bridge, your final product, you're only going to build one time. But they might make a prototype, some smaller versions, some models of that bridge before they end up working on that final product. All right, and then commercialize or make the final bridge, make the robot that's going to go into production, that sort of thing. And that's our last slide there. Oh. There is that more detail on the engineering design process. A lot of times when you're using that engineering method, you're trying to solve a problem that exists in the world. Any questions on what we've covered today, kind of why you might want to consider engineering as a field that you'd want to study in the future? Or kind of the difference between science and engineering? Any questions there? All right, if there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and move to Google Sites. So at the end of Wednesday's webinar, I talked about how for this class, you're going to need a Google account in order to create a Google site. And this is my example site here. I'm going to make a new one with you guys today. It can act like a digital portfolio that will help you kind of map what we did in class, what we've done in class the whole semester. You can use this, you know, it's really based on, this website is for you. So if you want to use it a lot and post in it a lot, you absolutely can. And at the end of the semester, you're going to be left with a website that is very detailed and that will take, you know, anyone who is interested in what you've done in the past, take them through a very detailed log of what you were able to accomplish. And down the line, you'll be able to take a look at that and go, oh wow, kind of remember what you did, and have a good list in case you're applying for a STEM program or something like that. So, plus it's just a good kind of place to reflect on what we've learned in class. That's actually a really good way to learn something and really cement what you've learned, is to reflect. After you kind of finish that unit, reflect and put down in words what you were taking away from that lesson. So again, I'm going to repeat for my fall students here. If you want to go ahead and just work on the Google site that you've created in the past, that is okay. If you want to create a new one, that's okay. I'm going to be walking people through the process of creating a new Google site today. And then I'm going to go through and explain some of the features. So that's going to be a good review for you all. We are not going to go through the whole HTML lesson though. So hopefully this should only take just this next little bit to go through Google Sites. And on Wednesday, we will be starting our medieval engineering unit, which I'm very excited. And that will go hand in hand with CAD, which is computer-aided design. So we're going to be combining the medieval and the futuristic into one very exciting unit. All right, go ahead and if you would, raise your hand if you do not have a Google site, or I apologize, a Google account that you're going to be able to use for this. Raise your hand if you think you need help getting a Google account or you do not have access to a Google account. Awesome. In chat, I just sent out the link for Google Sites. Please raise your hand as soon as you're able to navigate to Google Site. It should pop up with something that looks similar to this, and you're going to hit Create. Ooh. And let's go ahead and, sorry, they just added a new feature. Yeah, so you should be right here. Don't worry about hitting Create yet. I'll go ahead and pause my screen. So raise your hand. Cademan has his hand raised. Thank you, Cademan. Raise your hand as soon as you get to Google or sites.google.com. The link that I sent out. Great, and Dorian, just raise your hand once you get there, please. Great, all right. So it looks like Google, go ahead and show my screen, just changed their Google Sites creator, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to go ahead and hopefully you guys can join me on this adventure, as I have not used the new Google Site creator, but it looks very cool, very intuitive, and I think we're going to be able to make some really neat sites with it. So go ahead and join me. When you hit Create in the upper left-hand corner, go ahead and click in New Sites. I think we're going to be able to make some really neat content here. All right, so what this just created, we have our, it says untitled site in the corner here. Let's go ahead and give it a site title. So let's go ahead and you can call it what you will. I would suggest that you say YEOT somewhere in there for Young Engineers of Today. So let's go ahead and call this, I'm going to call mine YEOT Spring 2017. And that's going to be the name of my site. Not super exciting, but and you can give a more creative title if you want. So learning one pun at a time. Something, whatever you kind of want to do. But the title can be a little bit more creative. Let's see here. Oh, okay, then I got it. Ooh, very cool, Cademan. Cademan is showing off his site so far. Yeah, if you guys ever want to shoot in questions, you can send the URL of the site you're working on if you kind of want to show that off to either me or to the whole class. And there'll be more opportunities to do that coming up here. We'll be using Tinkercad, which allows you to do 3D modeling on the computer. So you'd be able to kind of send the link of whatever you're working on, and I'm happy to share it with the class. I think that makes it a little bit more of a two-way street. You get to see what each other are working on. You get to show off what you've been working on, and you don't just see kind of my what I'm working on. All right. So I have the title of my page up here. I gave this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the ... there. I'll just say learning one pun at a time. Maybe I'll just say one pun at a time. It should be hopefully engineering in theme. I tend to love puns, and I think engineering, young engineers of today does as well. So I think that's okay. And then you can see this is called, if you click on an element, it gives you different things you can change about it. So here, if I click this title, it'll let you kind of change the way it looks to be either a little bit smaller, or to be centered to the left as opposed to the middle, or even to link to an outside site, but let's not do that for now. You can change the background image. They give you some under gallery. I'm going to try to find one that might look a little bit engineering. Oh yeah, some math. Perfect. And you can change if it's a really big header, or no image, just the title. This sort of stuff, hopefully by the end of our kind of walkthrough of Google Sites, you're going to be able to try out and explore a little bit more on your own. So we won't go through absolutely every feature that Google Sites offers, but hopefully we'll hit the big ones. All right, so let's go ahead. This is going to be the home page, meaning this is the page that when someone types in your website name, this is going to be the page that they go to. We're going to add 2 additional pages. We're going to add an about page, and we're going to add a blog page. But the first thing I want to do before we do that is I want to go to, oh, okay, so we haven't actually published yet, so we don't have to worry about that quite yet. Never mind. So let's go ahead and if you click where up in the right-hand corner it says Insert Pages and Themes, let's go ahead and click where it says Pages. We have our home page. We're going to go ahead and click the plus to add a new page, and I'm going to call that one About. and you'll see that automatically a little banner or a menu pops up so that you can navigate in your site, and you can go to the home page or you can go to the About page. And we're going to add one more page, and we're going to call this, you could call this Project Updates. You could call this your engineering journal. You could call this your blog. I'm going to call mine Project Updates. Go ahead and raise your hand once you have successfully been able to add all 3 of those pages. And again, in the upper right-hand corner, I click Pages, and then Add Page, and I have About and Project Updates. Great, I see a couple hands, and we'll just give everybody some time here. No rush. All right, I seem to have lost a hand. As soon as you've added both of those pages, the About and the blog page, project updates, whatever you want to call it, please raise your hand and keep it raised. And if anyone's having trouble, please shoot me a message. You can type in a question, and I'm happy to go over any piece again. My site won't work. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Anthony. Gotcha. All right. So just because I think some of my audio got cut out for a minute here, I'm just going to start again from the beginning. So we're at sites.google.com, and I am logged in. To my Google account. I'm going to go ahead and click that Create button. Now, I've been doing this in new sites. So I went ahead and I clicked in new sites right there. However, if you can't get the new site creator to work, you do have the option of clicking in classic sites. It's a little bit less fancy looking, but you do end up with a very similar, very cool product. And I have a webinar, a full hour-long webinar already recorded that walks you through how to use this old creator. So I'll go ahead and try to find that and dig that up if you want it, and maybe I'll post that to Edmodo. So this is our untitled site. This is what should pop up if you click on that Create in New Sites. And the first thing that you want to do is up in the left-hand corner, you want to give your site a name. I'm going to call mine, this new one, Miss Dubik YEOT 17. My name, and then YEOT for Young Engineers of Today, and 17. At any point, if you get lost during this, maybe you lose audio or your computer's internet connection is being slow, the other good thing is all of this is being recorded and it will be on YouTube. So you can go through it and pause and go at your own speed. All right. The next thing you're going to want to do is just change the title of your page. And this can be really anything that you want. It can be a little bit more fun, or it doesn't have to be necessarily as dry as YEOT 17 or YEOT Spring 2017. So engineering at its finest. And you can, hopefully the editor is pretty intuitive to use. And you can kind of click and drag and see different features. This is review. Sorry, no need to make a new one. This is going to be kind of where we end off today. So if you did finish this part and you have your 2 pages, which I'm going to show us again, you can click on themes and try out different themes. And you'll see it. You get very different feels to your page. Okay. After you've given your site a name and you've changed the title for the home page, you're going to click on Pages. You're going to click that plus button and you're going to add an About page and a Project Updates page. I'm just going to keep it simple, call it Project Updates. Now I know I just went through that pretty quickly, but remember you do have the recording, and I'm just taking a look at the time. We've only got about 2 minutes left, so I just wanted to be able to show that. So for Wednesday, I want everybody to have these 3 pages. You don't need to have any content on them. And then if you want, you can go ahead and take a look at the themes as well. And you can edit that as well, but that is completely optional. All right. Great. All right, guys, so it is about that time. Go ahead and please shoot me any questions. If you can't get this for Wednesday, try the recording, try to do it on your own and kind of click around. And you can always send me an email or anyone at Young Engineers of Today an email. And if you say, you know, I'm in the Monday, Wednesday webinar that's from 6 to 7, they'll send that to any email that has Young Engineers of Today in it, and they will definitely get that email to me. But my name is Miss Dubik, so if you send that to youngengineersoftoday@gmail.com, like, you can send an email that says maybe, I can't get my Google site to work, can you help? Or if you want just some feedback on what your Google site looks like so far, we can do that on Wednesday as well. Right now, this is not published, so you can hit preview and take a look at what it looks like, but it is not published yet. So sadly, you cannot post it to Edmodo quite yet. But this should save. Yeah, this should save. So we'll be able to take a look at that again. Yeah, on Wednesday. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on Wednesday. Again, we're going to spend probably maybe the first third of our webinar on Wednesday on Google Sites, and then we're going to get going with medieval engineering and CAD. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys then.